everyone. Welcome to the Arm Coach Podcast, episode 125. I'm so glad that you're here today because we're getting into something that I genuinely believe nobody in the fitness space is talking about honestly. Not the workouts, not the protein, not even the consistency thing that we love to beat ourselves up about. We're talking about the standard you're keeping for how you feel. And there's a really good chance that you've been slowly, without even noticing it, lowering that standard and calling it aging. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. So let me ask you something a little uncomfortable. When did you stop expecting to feel good? Not great, right? Not like you're 25. I mean, just good, right? Rested, clear headed, like your body is on your side. Because here's what I hear constantly from women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who come to me wanting toned arms and more consistency in their workouts. Kristine, I'm just tired all the time. My back hurts. I wake up stiff. I don't have the energy I used to. And then almost in the same breath, but I mean, I'm getting older, so. And they just trail off. Like that sentence doesn't even need an ending anymore. Getting older is a complete explanation for why they've stopped expecting anything from their body. You know what I think? I think that sentence is one of the most dangerous things a woman can believe about herself. I know how it happens because I lived it. I was a dental hygienist for 20 years of leaning over patients, twisting my neck, holding my body in positions that no human spine was designed to hold for hours at a time. And I literally knew professionally what I should have been doing to take care of myself. The stretches, the strengthening work, the postural corrections. I knew all of it. And I did almost none of it. Instead, I powered through. I told myself that I'd deal with it later. I convinced myself that the ache in my lower back and the tension in my neck was just the cost of doing business. This is just what my body does now. This is just how it is. And here's the part that really gets me when I look back. I didn't even realize how much it was affecting my life until I couldn't ignore it anymore. Riding a bike with my kids started to hurt. Getting down on the floor to play with them was something I'd have to mentally prepare for. Simple things, things that should have felt free and easy and fun, started to carry this low level dread. And I was still calling it aging. So here's the truth that I want to say out loud. Most of what women are calling aging is actually accumulated self neglect with a really polite name. And listen, not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because somewhere along the way, you were taught that pushing through was strength, that taking care of yourself was indulgent, that your body was a vehicle for everything and everyone else in your life, and that you could tend to it later. Later came, and you called it getting old. What if nothing has actually gone wrong with your body? What if your body has just been faithfully responding to exactly what you've been giving it? Your body has a standard, a baseline, a level of function and energy and ease that it's always working to maintain. And here's the wild thing, your body doesn't care how old you are when it's setting that standard. It cares about what you're consistently giving it to work with. Move your body regularly, your baseline rises. Ignore the tension in your neck for 2 decades, your baseline drops. Eat in a way that supports you, your body has more to work with. But run on caffeine and stress and skipped workouts for years, your body recalibrates around that too. The baseline you're living in right now isn't your fate, it's your current average. And you can change your average because I'm not going to ask you to overhaul your entire life. I'm asking you to stop accepting less than you deserve and calling it inevitable. For me, it started with doing the stretches that I'd been skipping for years. Not a major transformation, not a huge fitness plan, just I'm going to spend 10 minutes doing what I know my body needs instead of powering through and hoping for the best. And slowly, my baseline started to shift. The bike rides got easier. Getting on the floor with my kids didn't feel like a negotiation. I started to notice that I'd been living in a body that was doing its best with what I gave it. And I finally started giving it more. That's what's available to you too. But first, you have to stop telling yourself the story that this is just what getting older feels like. And the part that nobody's talking about, the lowering doesn't happen all at once. It's not like one day you wake up and decide to stop expecting things from your body. It's like 100 tiny adjustments, each one completely reasonable on its own. You skip the workout because you're tired. Makes sense, right? You stop wearing the sleeveless tops because it's just easier not to deal with how they make you feel. Totally understandable. You stop signing up for the hike because your knees have been bothering you. Reasonable. You stop suggesting the active vacation and start defaulting to the one where you just sit by the beach, by the pool. Logical. Each decision, one at a time, makes complete sense. And all together, they quietly add up to a life that's gotten smaller. A body you've started working around instead of with. Have you noticed yourself doing this? Not in this huge way, just slowly removing yourself from the things that used to feel like you. Here's what I want to say about that. And I say this with so much love. That's not aging gracefully. That's shrinking and hoping nobody notices. Aging gracefully is not about accepting less. It's not about getting smaller and calling it wisdom. Real aging well is about maintaining your standard, protecting what matters to you, showing up for your own life in a body that can keep up. The fitness industry wants you to believe that the answer is some extreme intervention, a detox, a transformation challenge, a program that promises to give you your body back in 30 days. And that's not how standards work. Standards aren't rebuilt in 30 days. They're rebuilt in 1,000 small decisions where you choose yourself instead of defaulting to less. The women that I know who are genuinely thriving in their 50s and 60s, the ones who move with ease and wear what they want and go on adventures they want to go on, they didn't find some secret workout. They didn't crack some code. They just never stopped making small deposits into their standard. They stretched when it was inconvenient. They moved when they didn't feel like it. They kept showing up for themselves in small, consistent ways. And their bodies responded, not because they had better genetics, not because they were younger when they started, because they decided that their baseline mattered and they kept choosing it. That is what a naturally toned woman is built from, not intensity, identity. So, what does raising your standard actually look like in everyday life? And I want to get specific because this matters. It looks like doing the arm workout, even when you're convinced it won't make a difference yet. It makes a difference. It looks like stretching for 10 minutes in the morning instead of scrolling on your phone in bed and then wondering why your back hurts. It looks like choosing the walk when you could sit, choosing the stairs when the elevator's right there, choosing to move your body because you respect it, not because you're punishing it. It looks like putting on the sleeveless top anyway, not because your arms are done or perfect, but because you decided you're done hiding while you wait for them to be. These aren't big moves, they're standard maintenance decisions, and they are how your baseline shifts. So here's the piece that really surprised me when I started paying attention to it. The low movement habits and the low feeling baseline aren't just physical, they're emotional. And the two feed into each other in a way that can keep you stuck for years if you don't see it. A lot of the women that I work with aren't skipping workouts because they're lazy, they're skipping workouts because they feel crummy. Their energy's low, their body aches, their motivation is nowhere to be found. And the idea of doing something hard on top of all that, it feels genuinely impossible. So they rest, which makes sense, except the rest doesn't actually restore them because the thing that would restore them is the movement they're avoiding. And then they feel worse, and then they move less, and then they feel worse, round and round. And the whole time, they're telling themselves, this is just what it's like now. This is just aging. So I want you to sit with this. You don't need to feel like, you don't need to feel like it before you do it. You need to do it before you'll feel like it. Motivation is not the thing that comes first. Action is, and the feeling follows. I know that sounds backwards. We've been sold this idea that we need to get fired up and inspired and then go do the thing. But that's not how the brain works. That's not how the body works. And that's not how any of this works. The women who have figured out consistency in their arm workouts and their fitness habits over 50 didn't wait to feel ready. They started before they were ready every time. And then they felt better, which made it easier to start again. So, this is the thing that I want you to understand about the think, feel, act cycle and how it applies to your fitness as a woman over 40 or 50 or 60. What you think shapes how you feel, and how you feel drives what you do. And what you do creates the results you live with. So, if you're thinking, I'm too tired and too old, and this probably won't work for me anyway, how are you going to feel? Defeated, unmotivated, disconnected from your own body? And what are you going to do when you feel that way? Nothing, or at least a lot less than your body actually needs from you. But here's the flip side. What if you thought, my body is responding to what I give it, and today I'm going to give it something good? How would that feel? Different, maybe not amazing, but different enough to move. The thought comes first, and you get to choose your thought. So here's what I want you to try. The next time you're about to skip your workout, instead of asking, do I feel like it? I want you to ask a different question. Ask, what standard am I choosing right now? Not in a judgmental way, not as a guilt trip, just as an honest check in. Because every choice is either raising your baseline or lowering it. There's no neutral. Showing up for a 12-minute arm workout when you didn't feel like it, that's a deposit. That's you telling your body, you matter to me. That's you reinforcing an identity that says, I'm someone who follows through. And those deposits, they compound slowly in ways you don't always see until one day you're on the bike with your kids and you realize it doesn't hurt anymore. Or you put on a sleeveless top and you don't immediately take it off. Or someone asks how you've been and you genuinely say, actually, I feel really good. That's the baseline shift. That's what's available to you. So I want you to pause with me for a second before we close out. I want you to honestly think about this. What have you been accepting about how you feel that you've been blaming on aging? The low energy, maybe it's the stiffness, the not feeling strong. the arms you've been hiding, the activities you've been opting out of, is that actually aging? Or is that a baseline that's been slowly lowered by 100 small decisions that made complete sense, one at a time? So here's the second question. What would it look like to raise your standard by just one small choice today? Not a whole new program, not a complete lifestyle overhaul, just one choice today. That's a deposit, okay, instead of a withdrawal. That's it. That's where this starts. Here's what I know about the women who build toned arms and genuine strength and a body they feel proud of in their 50s and 60s. They didn't get there because they found the perfect workout. They got there because they decided who they were. A naturally toned woman doesn't wait until she feels like it. She shows up because she's decided that showing up is who she is. She doesn't punish herself when she misses a workout. She just comes back because that's what someone with her standard does. She doesn't need the scale to validate her or the mirror to motivate her. She moves because she has a standard for how she treats her body, and she's choosing to honor it. That identity isn't something you're born with, it's something that you build. One workout, one stretch, one choice to show up instead of sit out. It's the long game. And the long game is where the real change lives. Before I let you go, I want to remind you that if you're ready to stop lowering your standard and start building something real for your arms and your confidence and your consistency, Arms by Kristine is where that happens. It's not a crash course, it's not a 30-day fix, and then you're on your own. It's the place where you actually become someone who follows through with her arm workouts and her fitness habits, because we work on the identity, okay, not just the exercises. You can find all the details at thearmcoach.com. So come join us. And hey, if this episode resonated with you, I would be so grateful if you left a review on Apple Podcasts. I read every single one and they mean the world to me. All right, friend, go make a deposit today. Your body is paying attention, and I'll talk to you next week.